So I'm Lori Jasper. I'm from Yorkton. I actually grew up around Quinton. You'll see that on the information that's on your tables. I graduated from Quinton School, which we call U of Q. So I consider myself to be fairly smart, graduating from that school. What I'm here to present about this morning is the member benefit program and the new disability benefit that's being offered to APAS members. So I'll talk a little bit more about introduction and who I am and who we are at the Cooperartors. We'll talk about member benefits and member owners and how APAS ties into being a member owner of the Cooperartors. We're going to go through some EDGE information and some questions, and Ian Bossel is going to ask the questions, and we're going to have them up on the screen and I'll answer them. Then we're going to look at some real life claims examples and how you yourselves can actually get coverage, or if you're not eligible for coverage, how you can get that word passed on in your areas to those that need the coverage. And if time permits, and Brenda's going to shut me down if it doesn't, we're actually going to do a live quote with one person using Ian's information. So as you know, I'm Lori Jasper. I've been with the Cooperartors since 1992. I've moved around through all the individual departments in the different companies of the Cooperartors, which took me out to Calgary and then eventually back home here to Saskatchewan. And my husband, Randy, he was a welder for 20 years and a farmer. And when the slowdown happened in Alberta, he switched careers into insurance, and Randy and I were recruited to come back to Saskatchewan to run the Yorkton and Melville agencies. We also run a fairly large farming operation with our sons, and our sons also work in the business of insurance, and especially on the farm side. Now, when I was very young, I used to cut my own bangs, and I always got them really straight. And being on a farm and being around combines and stuff like that, I got the nickname Straight Cutter. So that's one piece of thing. If you hear that name Straight Cutter, that's me. One other thing about me that's not on that thing is that you will probably never ever find me anywhere without my sunglasses on my head. I still have yet to get good photos on online and stuff because I can't get them approved because I have my sunglasses on my head all the time. But when you get older, your hair gets a little thinner, something needs to hold it back, and the prescription, so if I need them, they're there. In this photo, and I'll point to my left, it's easier for now, but I mean for both. On the top left is our team from Yorkton, farm backgrounds, construction backgrounds and stuff. We recruited our team to help with insurance. And then down on the bottom there is Crystal Antosh, and she is someone who you may encounter. She's if you called into the EDGE and you said, I'm interested, I would like to get some coverage, they all get referred to her, and then she disperses them throughout Saskatchewan to agencies that are involved with these programs. She refers a fair bit to us because of course we do have a large farming area too. So our agency is in Yorkton. We are very strong supporters of APAS. It's a prestigious 5-star agency, and nationally we are recognized for outstanding contributions to the EDGE for 5 years in a row now. So the Cooperartors was started by farmers from Saskatchewan in 1945 and has grown to be one of the largest multi-line companies in Canada. And the way that the governance and membership is structured for the Cooperartors, it's not like a shareholder organization. We're 100% democratically owned and governed by a board of directors. And that board of directors is elected from our member organizations. And APAS is one of those member organizations. So our member organizations, or our member owners, are across Canada, and they're in different sectors. So agriculture is very big. There's also education, there's finance, there's health. So we have different communications. For instance, Access Communications is one of our member owners. Regina Health Clinic is one of our member owners. Federated Co-op, in Saskatchewan here, APAS. And if you go on the Cooperartors website and you go into the member owner section, APAS is the very first one that comes up. Agriculture, of course, is A, and APAS is A. And that links right to your guys' website. So I just want to give you a tiny bit of background, and I think Norm is, you're still here, so if you want to add on at any time you can, or anybody that's involved with us. Last year in February, so February 2018, we held an event together with APAS in Yorkton to get the word out that we have this product for farmers, and in the trucking industry, of course you all know, in Yorkton, a very big hub for truckers coming in and out, and farming, and farmers of course through Saskatchewan. But at this event, we really promoted, and we put a lot of our own money in from our own agency to promote APAS. And I can't thank you guys enough, and the APAS organization, how it has helped the cooperators, but more importantly how it has helped us in our business in Yorkton, and how APAS is helping us with our own farming operation. And when this new offering was rolled out, I was so excited I just about started to cry, because Randy and I had been at the table continuously saying what APAS does for us in Saskatchewan from very different angles all around in the farming sector. Can't we do something to bring some sort of benefit to them and help with all these farmers that are operating without any coverage whatsoever? Sorry I say so many times. I've got so many things on my mind I want to talk to you about. But we're very, very pleased that this got rolled out, and it got rolled out very, very quickly. We were expecting it maybe a little bit down the road, but it came out very quickly. And then this opportunity came up to speak to you here. And so I thought that's really good, and thank you very much for having me to speak. Okay, so under the member benefits program, and there'll be if you looked online, you can see that there's several member owners. Agriculture, or APAS is one of them. And APAS has, or Cooperartors has a program for farm insurance, home insurance, auto insurance, travel insurance, and now the new disability benefits program with the discounts in it. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about farm, a little bit about travel, and then we're going to dive deep into this, the new disability benefits. So being a multi-line company, or a very large multi-line company in Canada, the more products that a client holds with us, and you can see that on the chart on the left, every tick mark you get starts triggering more discounts, more utilization of, for example, if you have farm and auto, you have a claim, you only pay one, and there's a claim, say, on your truck, and have hail on your farm, you only pay one deductible. The more that you do, the more discounts you get. And then we tie in this benefit program. So on farm, and Cooperartors currently insures approximately 36,000 farms in Canada. The member benefit program enhanced endorsement has 31 coverages in it. And if you totaled up the value of it, in one claim, you could actually get paid out almost $800,000. And the cost for it is approximately $50 per year. It'll go anywhere from 25 to 75, but the average is $50 per year. So some of the big things in the member benefit program, in that chart that's there that you can't read, are things like loss of use of farm machinery. So this particular tractor that you're seeing up on the screen, of course, is burned. So the owner of the tractor had to rent another tractor right away. He used his member benefit program for that to get his loss of use coverage for the few thousands that he needed. This incident also had injuries in it, burn injuries to the operator of this tractor, which would respond under the benefits program. And the firefighting expenses were also paid out from the member benefits program. So that's just one example of that endorsement on how much it can do on a farm policy. So last week, after finding out that I had the opportunity to speak here, I wanted to make sure that we hit the mark with the audience, because sometimes I have things that I think on how it should be and I totally miss the mark and I have no recourse after. So I thought I better stop in, or Randy and I better stop in and meet with these folks at APAS face to face and say, what is it you're actually expecting from us to deliver to your members that are going to be here? So I think, Brendan, it was going to be a 10-minute meeting, and it turned out to be 2.5. And they would not stop asking questions. I kind of triggered it myself. But so what we've done is we've put those questions into this presentation. Ian's going to ask them. I'm going to respond to them. Basically, I'm just going to be reading it so you can see it. And then if we have time, I'm going to share some claims with you, and then if we have time, we're actually going to do a live quote of that. So in your packages that you have, there's marketing information of this new program and who to contact. And it is, if you just flip the back page, you might want to follow along a bit too. So on the second part of it, there is the basic package that's been offered, and then there's customizing of the packages. So we're going to focus on, it's a basic package, we're going to focus more on how do you customize a package. Okay, so where is Ian? You ready to roll? Okay.
Edge was started because there was a gap in the disability market for self-employed. They launched the gross business revenue solution for the self-employed, and the business took off from there. They then expanded into other products like the guaranteed to issue CI, health and dental, fracture and accidental death and dismemberment.
Okay, so how was the Edge started? It was started by some folks out in Ontario, and in Ontario you have an option to opt out of WCB. So the trucking industry, they needed more coverage than what was available, and because they could opt out of WCB, the Edge actually started with a product that was called Roadside. And what it did is it allowed the self-employed in the trucking industry that if they got injured, it not only would replace income, it would allow them to use their business overhead expense to pay for another driver to keep their truck rolling, and essentially preventing them from losing their contracts that they had. Now, the trucking industry used to be the only industry up until now where you could use your business overhead expense to pay for a replacement driver. In farming, you can actually use your business overhead expense to pay your spouse or someone else to run your farm if you're injured. The Edge Benefits is a menu style. So it's very much like if you were in the restaurant here and you looked it over and you said, I want this, this, and that. You start with disability or health and dental, and then you can add on whatever you need.
Who is the Edge Benefits for?
So the Edge Benefits is for the self-employed. Farmers, truckers, contracts, or employee clients who don't currently have benefits in place or need to top up to their existing plan. So there's a few questions coming down the road, but one example would be new immigrants to Canada working on farms. We can help them out with some coverage, emergency coverage, till they get their provincial health coverage, and now we can actually help them out with 2 years, which matches their working visa for disability coverage, essentially taking some of the liability off of the farmer who's hiring them.
What does elimination period mean?
Elimination period, so in the example of the basic package, it has an elimination period of 120 days. That's what's quoted. So if you got injured, it would be 120 days before your benefit or your claim would start. But when you get it quoted in the enhanced packages, you can choose a 0-day, a 30-day, or the 120-day.
How do you calculate how much coverage can be qualified for?
So this is where the Edge Benefits is very, very unique in that other plans out there use T4 income. So your employee, you might be a contract person that's got some T4 income, and that's how they would figure out how much you can insure yourself for every month. The Edge is different. They use gross business revenue, which most farmers have gross business revenue. I don't know if you've got 800,000 gross business revenue, you take off some cost of goods, your fertilizer, stuff like that, and you're left with an amount, $5,000 a month that you can insure yourself for.
What are some enhanced benefits with the Edge?
So you can have up to 5,000 loss of income, you can have a 0-day waiting period, you can have your benefits pay you all the way to age 70 versus a 5-year period. Other coverages and other plans only go to age 65 mostly. This coverage goes to age 75. I talked about the coverage for business overhead expense. You can actually use it to pay for a replacement farmer. And a lot of plans out there that are grouped, they will not take more than 50% family content. With the Edge, it can be 100% family. It doesn't matter. And that's huge because most farming operations are all family, plus employees.
Disability, injury, why is the edge unique?
So the edge, when we use the word or the terminology disability, disability can mean injury or injury and illness coverage. So most times we'll start off with the injury and then we'll add the illness on. But what's really important, and we always go over this when we're doing the quotes, is what's the definition of disability? So many of you might have plans out there that are maybe attached to mortgages or loans or anything like that, and you've taken the disability insurance, you got injured, it would mean you'd have to be totally disabled, basically cannot work. In the edge, and the premium is priced for it, it simply means you can't do the important duties of your regular occupation. So if you're a farmer, and I'm going to show you an example and a picture of our son who was in a farming accident. His hand was caught in a piece of machinery. He could still do paperwork. He could still, be around the farm and stuff like that. But without that hand, he couldn't do the important duties. Driving the semi, shifting, stuff like that. So a claim could be triggered. The other important thing is most plans out there will have 24 months of coverage under that definition, and then it'll switch to any occupation. So what's different about this is it's any reasonable occupation. So if you're a farmer or a trucker or a contractor or whatever you do, you're not expected, if your claim is going to continue on, you can't go back to farming, you're not expected to take just any job. It's something that respects the career that you chose and puts you back in a position of any occupation that relates to that.
What business overhead expense? What is business overhead expense, and can you carry limits forward?
Okay, so we have the injury coverage sitting over here, and then we have the disability or the business overhead expense. So when you get injured, you want to replace some income. Generally on farm you can't replace it all, but something is better than nothing. But you're also going to have other things. You might have lease payments coming up. You might have land rent coming up. You could have, you bought that truck, you got payments to make on insurance, all that kind of stuff. Power bills have to be paid, unless you're totally on the grid and selling it back, as I learned yesterday. So what that means is you would pay those bills, and then you would submit them for reimbursement. So if you have 5,000 disability, you have 5,000 business overhead expense, and you need to pay your spouse to run the farm, he or she has to leave their job to come run the farm while you're recovering, you can use your business overhead expense to pay them, which replaces their income that they're losing because they can't get the coverage from where they're working. Or you have to hire a farm manager. Some of the operations have a lot of employees, right? And someone's going to manage it all, so it can help cover for that. Now, if you have, let's say, a lease payment, and it's not due till the injury happens in January, and that's not due till fall, you can carry your limits forward. So any unused limit carries forward in case there's that big amount that's, in September or whatever. And the business overhead expense runs for 24 months now. It used to be 12, but it's 24 months.
Multi-life versus single life, the difference, definition, and that they must be 18 plus.
Right. Okay, so if it's, I'll back it up, if it's a single life plan, so if I was putting coverage on myself as a farmer, and I do have coverage on myself as a farmer and as an advisor, if I chose the upgraded plan and the drugs, say in the health and dental, I have to disclose that if I'm taking or have pre-existing conditions. If I'm with a multi-life plan, which needs 3 people, so it could be, dad and 2 sons, or mom and 2 sons, or employer and 2 employees, you need 3 people. Once you have 3 people and every coverage you choose, it's all guaranteed issued and all pre-existing coverage is included. Am I explaining that okay? Okay. You've got to be 18 years old to get injury coverage, but of course you're covered under the health and dental, and if there's you've got a family plan and then some kids have gone away to school, of course they're covered up until 25 if they're still attending post-secondary.
Why choose injury from the edge?
Okay, so WCB, as well as traditional disability plans, pay on the net income only. They don't have the option to look at gross business revenue. And WCB only covers injuries while you're working. are at the farm. And it does not cover business overhead expense. Many injuries. I'm thinking in our agency right now we have 6 claims on the go, and 4 of them happened away from work, not on the farm. A hockey, breaking ankle, playing hockey, a sledding accident. Most of that is all going on, and lots of those injuries happen not at the farm.
Emergency medical, what does it mean within this plan?
Okay, so you have your injury coverage in place. If there is an injury or an accident that happens, there's also $10,000 of emergency medical available, and that's included automatically, and it covers things like if you need therapy after, if there was ambulances, air ambulance, anything like that, chiro, anything like that, that's over and above paying for your loss of income falls in there. And there's also $5 million of coverage per person for traveling between provinces, not just out of country.
Lifestyle protection enhancer, what happens after 60 months?
Okay, so you have disability coverage, injury coverage, and a claim gets triggered, and you get to the 5th year. So it could be something, it could be a horrific accident, and like I said, it doesn't even have to be on the farm, and you're at the 5-year mark, you're probably not going back to your occupation by that time. With the lifestyle protection enhancer on the policy, it pays a lump sum of $300,000 tax-free to you, and then your benefits continue on to age 70. So a lot of times, if you're not going back, you simply want to pay down maybe some debt or something like that and be able to move on with your life.
What happens at 65? Health and dental, what happens after 70? Still valuable for employees and younger family members.
Right, so that's one of the things that one of the roadblocks that we run into, and you can see that maybe a little bit in this room. Health and dental, you have to get it before age 65. It's not available after that. But keep in mind, you probably have sons or daughters, other people involved in your operations that would qualify for health and dental and would want it a benefit.
Health and dental, did you know massage is covered but need a yearly doctor's note?
Yeah, so that's really important. Massages are a really important thing to people in their benefit plans now. And with this plan, because it's not pooled together with other plans, it's priced, and then the price only changes based on age bands. It doesn't change based on how much the plan is used. And massages is one area where they see an excessive use of it. Maybe when it was needed or maybe wasn't needed, but to help control those costs, what they did is you have to get a doctor's note once a year. And it can be a doctor, it can be a dentist, it can be whoever. And I haven't run into anybody who's had any problems with that. They simply tell the doctor my plan needs it. And when you submit your claims online, you just say, yeah, I have a doctor's note.
Can you do short-term coverage, i.e. a seasonal worker?
Okay, so that's a question I think Todd proposed to us during that meeting last week. Most seasonal workers can't meet the qualifying, they can meet the 20 hours per week, but they're not at the farm for more than 35 weeks per year. So there's no hours requirement or anything for the health and dental, but if you have an employee who is seasonal, what are they doing in the off season? You gotta figure out that they're working more than 35 weeks in the year, and most times we can find a solution for it. Now, where this is really important, so maybe they do, maybe you lay them off and then they get work. We can always update the plan so that it can keep going. But you as an employer or someone who's paying for the plan for them, you'll want to keep that going because it's a really good retention tool. They know if you're going to keep their benefits going for them, and when they come, you need them back in the spring, they'll come back knowing that they're being retained, having a plan like this. And also that if they do something else in the off season, they're still going to have coverage.
Immigrants and work exchange programs, how does EDGE help with them?
So in October last year, the EDGE announced a 2-year benefit period. So it's 2-year, 5-year to age 70. And I just actually got some approved this morning. That so they're new to Canada, working on a farm. Most of them work year-round when they're immigrating to Canada, But while they still have their visas and waiting for their permanent residency, we can offer them a 2-year injury benefit. I can do these, Ian. Okay, so have any of you ever encountered, and you don't have to show me hands, but just a conversation, if you've got some of your employees or yourself or anything delivering grain to some of the crushers and the terminals and stuff like that, they won't let you on without proving that you have either workers' comp or some sort of disability injury coverage. It's going to become more common as we move forward, and I've only been requested for it twice. We have one trucking company that we insure where they're carrying the edge, and then I have another fellow who trucks for an equipment dealer, and he carries his own edge, and it was accepted. You know, we did up the certificates, and it was, yeah, we're just looking for injury coverage if you get hurt here on our site, that it's in place. Did you know that employees may expect coverage if it's available to them? And this is a way that you can eliminate your liability to them by putting a plan in place. And employees could be your own immediate family members that are being employed on the farm. If you're paying for coverage for an employee, we always suggest give them a raise and then deduct it from their wages. So if the benefit costs $50 a month, pay them an extra $50 a month and then deduct it from their pay. Because that way, if they did get injured and they triggered a claim, and it shows they were paying for it, it will be not taxable to them. And that could be huge if you have a severe injury where someone is not going to be working again, you know, for the rest of their life maybe. And the exciting thing with APAS, the discount, you guys all get 10%. So the edge is distributed through 16,000 brokers across Canada, or 16,000 advisors. But APAS members, this is a unique offering. It's a pilot program with our member owner of APAS, and you're the first organization in Canada to be offered a discount on this. Okay, so let's take a quick look at some claims examples. So I was talking to you, I was mentioning our son Riley, he's on the far left-hand side there. That small picture, he had gotten caught in the machine, and he had his phone with him, and when he called 911, he didn't know the location he was on, and they would not send an ambulance to him. It was really kind of an interesting situation. So he called Randy at the office, and when Randy answered the phone, all he heard was, "Dad, I'm caught," and he could hear the machine running. And we also called 911. We said, we got the directions, we know how to get there, and they still would not send an ambulance to him. So what we did is we went down our client list, and we found one of our clients who farmed close to where he was, and we got a hold of him on his cell, and he went there and got him out and got him to the hospital. So the picture on the bottom left, yeah, that's shortly after he was pulled out of this, was able to be free from what he was caught in, and he was in the hospital, and he was going in and out of shock. And when you ask him what was going through your mind, he said, all I can think about is how am I going to get this crop off? How am I going to pay someone to help me with this? What am I going to do? That's all he could think about. And I said, oh, that's a typical farmer, right? Not thinking of anything else. So fortunately enough, he had a brother and a friend that came and pitched in. And we all know stories like that where something has happened and the neighbors all pitch in, get that crop off, whatever. But it's very short term. It might last that season, maybe the next. Those neighbors, those friends have to get on with their own lives and their own operations. And the person or the family who it's happened to is kind of sitting there hanging, without income and things to support that. It can be pretty devastating. Now, luckily for these guys, we all kind of pitched in and got it done. Riley is all healed up, and he's back farming. In this example, this is one of our insureds. He had just loaded canola and was on his way into Yorkton when this rollover happened. So we've got an injured driver. We've got an employer with liability exposure for that injured driver. We've got lots of use for the truck. We got cargo that's spilled. So I sent my staff out and they helped clean this all up. It took them a fair bit, but this particular trucking company that we insure, they carry the edge. And when I got the call from the owner, he was at the hospital with the driver, and All he could say was, can you pull up my policy? He knew right away that's what he was looking for. What's the coverage? What do we have? How can we help us out? Another claim scenario, which I got from the folks at the Edge. While fencing, a farmer fell carrying tools and he injured his lower back. He saw the doctor and had to be off and get surgery because of the fall. So the Edge paid him for over 10 months and physio through that extra medical expense of $10,000. He was able to hire help for 8 months to feed his cattle, and his wife took off 2 months from her job to run the farm while he was disabled. So you can see where the business overhead kicks in, you can see where his replacement income is coming in, and you can see where he expensed his medical receipts. Another one, injury from a farm accident, harvest time, had to be off work, was paid full benefits from a day zero coverage, that's what he had purchased. He had business overhead expense, which was paid on a monthly expense of $3,000 per month. He had to hire additional help. He had the added costs when harvesting. He had bank payments that needed to be paid. His wife was trying to run the farm, and community support, which I talked about, which is there initially and for a while, was given to him. In this planned event, it was a general contractor, and he had an earning power of about 2.6 million. What he did is he had a torn ACL. There's probably people in this room that had a torn ACL. He had to wait 6 months for his surgery because his knee was too swollen. Then he had to stay off it for 8 weeks following the surgery before going to therapy. He had physio, medications, crutches, transportation costs, those were all covered under the accidental medical, and his total time off from work was 18 months. So at the beginning of my presentation, I talked briefly about how the Edge was started with the roadside products. So if you guys know truckers in the industry that are self-employed, self-contracted owner-operators, this is for them. You can refer them. And am I up on my time?
Right. Yeah, we are. So if they want to see you, then we can set you up.
And any questions?
We just have to get them checked out.
Oh, you got to get checked out. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information, very technical, but we're excited about this. Take advantage of that discount that's in place. Take advantage of it being available for farmers and replacing, if you need that replacement manager or anything like that. And it's simply, you just call the Edge, you can email myself, you can go online to the APAS website and link in through there. Good to go.